how you handle the pressure, because in education, as our students are uh, attending the classes from morning 9 to evening 6, and even after that they have some assignments. So we also try to build some pressure and they understand how to handle it. But corporate pressure and corporate working is completely different. So I just want to understand from your side, so that you just give a glimpse of the corporate culture and pressure, and after handling that, how you get satisfied with that and how you can progress. So in that view, if you will discuss, so it will be help our student to understand all these things. Hello.
Okay, okay, great. Good, you're sharing some inputs that you want to know. Okay,
Yes. So
corporate
if you
pressure. So, and it is so marketing, HR, and finance. You have operations.
yes, we have operations app, but these are the minors.
These are the
Minors.
okay, okay, okay,
Major is marketing, HR, and finance.
okay. And is the group more engineering or more arts or more science? Sorry, from a graduation perspective.
Including all, sir, including all. But all they are
Source
graduating.
influence. Yeah, that is obviously when you come from PGDBM. So,
Yes.
but you are across. Okay, great.
Right, sir. So if you
Okay,
will
good. So,
start the session, sir.
sure. So, what we will do is, in about 45-50 minutes, let me give a perspective from my side, my experience, and try and answer some of these points that you have raised. What we will make it more interactive is let the students ask questions. Feel free to throw out, okay, I want to join marketing in an FMCG role. What would it entail? Or I want to go automotive sector sales. What will it entail? Or I want to go operations in a manufacturing unit. What will it be? I want these questions to come up because it'll be these questions will help not only to answer the specific doubt, but also some of many other students who would be looking for a similar career, right? So whether it's I'll give you yeah, let's roll it that way, and I'm requesting all of you all to please go ahead, ask some questions. And I have met students of many colleges, because of the whole virtual thing, it has happened virtual, but I used to even go to colleges for physical sessions. And those Q&A in terms of understanding the role, the roadmap, and they're coming out with their questions and ideas, and taking that knowledge off and say, okay, well, what did you experience in system, or what was their experience with Mahindra with certain things.
Right.
Please
So
ask some
so
of these
uh,
questions because we have spent a lot of time.
yes. So first of all, I would like to say Diksha. Diksha, please start the session and hand over it to Nimish sir. Then Nimish sir will take it over. So Diksha, now over to you.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Every pain gives a lesson, and every lesson changes a person. A very good morning and heartily welcome to our respected guest and the student. I, Diksha Gaikwad, welcomes you all for today's guest lecture. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's session, Mr. Nimish Damani. Sir has more than 20 years of experience in the industry. During his career, Sir has been associated with big brands such as IBM, Wipro, Cisco, KPMG, and currently Sir is director at Hitachi Vantra. The theme for today's session is management from a corporate lens. Now, I request Sir to take the session further.
Thank you, Diksha. Thank you, Neeraj ji, for inviting me to the forum. And I really appreciate, spending time with student community and specifically looking at some of you all very well dressed with tie and shirt inspires me and takes me back in time, what we used to do on the other side also, right? But it's nice to be interactive, and I'm hoping this session gives you something to take away. At least some of you will benefit and say, okay, we heard this sometime in the past, and this input helped us in our career today or tomorrow, right? And most of you are starting your careers, like I see, right? It's a beginning that you're making. Okay, so to give you some background, okay, and let me share this perspective. So, one is obviously that many of you are looking at campus careers and companies coming and hiring you, right? I'm sure there will be some of you, or hopefully more of you, who are saying we want to get on to start our own venture, you know, with as first generation entrepreneurs, or second generation entrepreneurs, or third generation, right? Or somebody who's going to diversify into something new based on family background, or a group of friends wanting to start together. So my first input to the team would be, okay, uh, give it a shot. I think you're doing your MBA early days, and I'm sure some of you will have some entrepreneurial ideas, whether it is for real businesses, digital businesses, technology oriented, non-tech oriented, services oriented, product making, designing something. I'm sure some of you will have a lot of these ideas running in your mind, right? It is very, very important to give it a shot. You will be able to. I'm hoping some of you have gone to college, some are hybrid, come to college and back to college. You should be able to make your groups into smaller units and say, okay, these are the people I can connect with. These are the skill sets. These are complementary. Somebody from IT, somebody from finance, somebody from marketing, or multiple people from marketing or HR. I'm sure some of you will have groups and will have the fire to actually say, we want to do this kind of a new business, right? First and foremost, I really encourage entrepreneurship, and I think you must give it a shot. And some parts of my career where I work closely with entrepreneurs, I have been associated with a startup which got bought out from scratch, right? I really appreciate the energy that somebody can bring in, and because you are the ones who are generating employment as well for tomorrow, right? And I think today's economy, there is a lot of startup focus that is there. So that's one of the things that I would start with. While obviously most of my career has been with a larger company, but I think this is an important aspect for you all to think and take away that, okay, if you have an idea and if you think you want to try out something, yes, you should. Uh, and frankly, whether it is the institute or outside, or you want to reach out to experts in the industry, go ahead, reach out, right? Neeraj reached out to me for a session, and I said, okay, sure, why not? Right? It's important to share what you have learned. There's no use sitting all inside here; it's a waste. Okay, so please give it a try. Whatever industry it is, I'm sure you're reading what's happening in the world, what's happening in the country. Massive disruption, massive encouragement for new things are coming in. It's worth it. Okay, that's one part of it. Uh, let's go to some other side of the world, right? And what I can do is in about 10-15 minutes give you an idea of my career span in terms of movement from role, location, and companies, right? So, like most of you, I think about 2001, where I finished my PGDBM in marketing. Prior to that, I did my engineering in electronic engineering, both from Mumbai University. And in those days, more boys had inclination towards automotive, and I was one of them, right? So I'm very passionate about automotive. Even today, I write blogs once in a while, and I'm very fond of automotive. So while we were on our so-called 0-day placement, or -1 day, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know what you all call it today, but from the placement day perspective, we had Mahindra coming into our college, and about, I think, 12 or 13 of us got placed in Mahindra on day one, day zero placement. And frankly, when I entered the college, from college to corporate world, it was completely a blank slate, right? You're actually thinking that you move from one college to a bigger college, which has a different brand name, it has a different ID card, and you have a computer and you're supposed to work. And then you're supposed to go meet people, you have to attend meetings, and you have to work, right? That is what we start with. All of you will feel that way unless some of you have worked in the past in corporates or companies or family businesses or friends businesses, right? Some of you would have experienced what. Yeah, so what happened is, I finishing my marketing, that time the dream role was I'm going to do marketing of cars and SUVs, and I'm going to travel and I'm going to meet dealers, I'm going to meet customers, and be more outward and everything. So joining that organization, actually the organization gives they had a general management program. It was called every MBA graduate would be given a chance to work in different group companies in the projects, and where you suit or where the group, which group you work with well, they would eventually place you in their department of sorts, right? At that time, Mahindra was primarily largely three: Mahindra automotive sector, tractor division, which is called farm equipment sector, and the third one is Mahindra Finance was a little new, but we had Club Mahindra come up pretty much that time. And they said, okay, now you all are joining. Now let's show you what the Mahindra Group is all about. So they take you through a formal induction process. They make you visit the factories, visit the dealerships, etc. They make you travel to multiple locations, the headquarters, the main plant locations. Right. Uh, so what I'm trying to communicate is there is a massive learning opportunity which companies will offer for you, and it is up to you to take it. So when we were given projects, so we were said, okay, your first project is going to be you have to set up like a Suvidha Kendra for farmers in Sangli and Kolhapur. Okay. Now listen to this twist, right? My personal background is I'm born and brought up in Mumbai. My hometown is also Mumbai. Parents are also in Mumbai, so I have that set of a large tier one city crowded place, and a different 100% electricity. Those are my benchmarks when you grow up, right? And my first role itself required me to be at least traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month into more remote places, and not just Angli and Kolhapur. The setup used to be about 40 kilometers off that place, right? So a massive unlearning for me in terms of what is ground reality, what is it working with the real people, and life and business is not just tier one Delhi and Mumbai or Chennai or Bangalore or Calcutta in those days in terms of a city life, right? Your customer profile, your consumer, people whom you want to do business with are not just in these top 4 or 6 cities. The life is not the same that you have seen all your life, right? Uh, Many of you will come from different parts of the country, and you have experienced what it is like to be in that part, right? Or you would have been in, or your parents would have been in transferable roles. So you would have moved in different city, or some of you would have been in the same city, and you are completely comfortable with a particular environment. Corporate life, in many cases, you will have to break that mold. You have to come out of that cocoon and that comfort zone and say, okay, let me go see what it is all about, right? Can I really taste a different world than what I have been brought up in? It's very likely many of you will have a lot of resistance to change. That I'm not going to this place. I can't live in that place. I'm used to a high rise. I'm used to A, B, C, D thing, and I can't really go on the ground. And tomorrow, if you tell me I join HLL or join PNG or I join a bank, and you tell me you have to go to a tier two, tier three town, and you have to go sell, you have to get orders, you're going to do marketing, you're going to do finance. I'm not doing it. So don't be fixated like this, because you would miss out not only the opportunity but also the learning curve that you may want to go to. Right? Especially in the first, I would say, about 2 to 5 years, you should take up more challenging roles in terms of something that you haven't done in the past, because you want to learn everything now. And it will take you that much of time to say, okay, now I know what's happening in the world, what are the companies, what are the roles, what is the industry, what is my strength area, what is my weakness area, and then decide where you want to set yourself up for a longer term kind of thing, right? So take up that challenge, welcome that change, take new roles. So that was for my start. We did factor division, I worked with automotive division, I worked with doing rallies for about 7 states, so not just marketing but sales, business development, then working with president's office, then working with automotive sector marketing. So I got a fantastic exposure to understand what is product management. And today Bolero is a brand most of the people know, but it's old enough. That time Mahindra Bolero was a relatively newer thing, and it was just about one of the product line that transformed the Mahindra group from what they were selling in villages to slightly more upmarket. And then Scorpio came, and then you have the XUV series, etc., from the automotive line, which you all would more follow. Okay, so. Uh, that was a very big unlearning learning exercise, and being able to uh, work on the ground, and that was more of a marketing sales profile. So I would call out people who want to do marketing, want to do distribution, dealer management, direct sales, all that had a very strong experience out there, and also setting up a business. So we are setting up a farm equipment with a dealer service station and a business for Suvidha Kendra. It was a business setup. So you are actually using your management skills where you are getting people together, setting up something for the company, seeing the running and the operations, and handing over to somebody. Okay. So that was where I started my career, and like I would say, the whole learning piece of it was completely a learning exercise. And today also, if I have to, I am probably in touch with some of the people whom I interacted with in those times as well. So it's very interesting. You make those very deep relationships when you're into the role, and you don't know where your relationships become more active and usable there. Uh, by the time the whole IT wave had started, right? So early 2000 or late 90s is where the whole IT boom had about started, and many people were going abroad. My engineering batch, I think 3 or 4 people from my batch are in India, but most of them went to the US largely. Those days, it was late 90s was the time when everybody wants to go to the US, and the opportunity that opened up. The Y2K boom had come, and uh, some of us are probably the only people in India. They're all there. All the college groups are full of US numbers, and there are limited people in India. So that whole boom was that technology sector is coming up, and that seems to be the future. And that was something that I thought was relevant. So services sector, from a product automotive tractor division to a service sector. So I wanted to make that shift, a very daring shift, right? Typically working from a Mahindra, if you're looking for a job, you would say, okay, there was Ford Motors, there is Tata Motors, there is Hyundai, there is Maruti. That would be my ideal role. So when you get into a thing, you would say, okay, a top automotive company would be my ideal role to go and live and be there always. But that's not destiny, which could have been, right? From there, I actually moved took a very big leap in terms of moving into consulting services. So for some of you with the operations background or a minor subject will understand something called as a Six Sigma operations consulting or green belts, black belts. This is the whole services industry, which is consulting services, pure consulting, operations consulting services, which is a far different world from the automotive sector, which I started with. And through some whatever channel of applying, you're looking for a change and trying to reach out to people. So some of these founders were happened to be known to me through a circle, and they also took it as a challenge. Okay, somebody from an automotive Mahindra background will come to consulting services brand, which is a smaller niche company who is doing pure operations consulting services. And okay, Nimish, your role would be to help in the business development space. And frankly, when you jump a sector like this, right, it is some of it is a leap of faith because you build trust with the founder or the hiring or the MD side of it. And you're saying, okay, these guys seem to be doing the right thing. I've got a good reference. Uh, let's see where it goes, right? And but again, that next level of unlearning learning, because in consulting services, business development, if I may want to call it, right, you are selling a virtual castle to a customer. Right? You're building a perspective that, okay, sir, you are doing your work in terms of operations, you're doing your work of building a car or building a bike, or you're doing your work of manufacturing soaps or shampoos, or selling soap, shampoos, or you're right now transporting in this cost, etc. I'm going to help you make your business more profitable. I'm going to make your business more visible. I'm going to make you more faster, better, uh, using consulting services. And that is my knowledge. So, which is that company would BMGI would implement related tools to help improve the company. Right now, it took almost 6 months to really transition from mode one to mode two. Right, so moving from a brand like a Mahindra in those days, and even today, like it's large respected group, that visiting card of that company has a lot of weight. You throw in the visiting card for a meeting or or whatever, right? Right now we have all these airline and travel bookings and everything. In those days, email IDs of companies used to get you better deals. Right? So you had a brand, sitting by you, and you could get access to many things that you wanted, right? And a large brand, a large company means it's a more structured organization. There are roles defined, there are processes defined. Uh, there is administrative, the things are all set up for you. It's not a startup. You're not doing something grounds up, or you're not the person who's doing everything. So either you're doing from the sales department, marketing department, or operation department, or IT or finance department. When you jump to a smaller services organization, you might be doing more than one roles. You know, you should be okay to say, okay, today I'm going to go make those binders for consulting brochures. So I will go to the art shop, I will go to the designer to get the design done. I will get the mailers done, so I have to send some mailers out. Same way in today's world, sending emailers, or creating those mailers, or communication, or writing blogs, or calling up a client and talking to them, making proposals, or visiting client to understand requirement. In a consulting services company, you're generally being able to do a more jack of all, because you need to have your management skills honed in all directions, right? It's not just one point. So a massive change management in terms of services, marketing or services, sales, consulting services, which I may want to call it. Okay, uh, that went well. I think a lot of learning that happened there. That is some of the place where I started seeing what is my core area, what is my strength area, right? Dealing with customers, dealing with people, employees, colleagues, multiple size of client organization, large to small, kind of then start triggering in terms of what is my strength area. So I think took about 2 3 years to really understand the industry. I saw product sales, I saw services, marketing sales, uh, and I started seeing, okay, I think I'm good at client engagement, client relationship management, or building client relationships, because we were able to do multi-year contracts and getting deals or business with people, and I would handle those client relationships over multiple years. So having the skill of saying, okay, here it is, sir, I'm selling this kind of product and services for you, uh, all B2B, and then I say, okay, I have this also next year, I have this also next year. So a client journey from year one to year two, year three, I was able to articulate and say, okay, this makes sense. Which put me into a thing of, you know, I need to broaden my horizon in services, not just be contained on operations consulting, right? So then was to journey to go to an organization which offers more than that, right? So more than just operations consulting, and I was sure, okay, product, automotive, etc. is okay. I love it. It's a passion, but I don't think I really want to do it as a career for now. So that pushed me on. Okay, product is on the side. That automotive is okay. Let's move to services. Now, when we move to services, your next thing is, okay, let's me look for a job or join a company which has broader services to offer, not just quality and Six Sigma, etc. Can I join a company which has technology services, which has consulting services, a little more broader area, IT consulting, right? So that took me on the journey to enter the world of information technology in those days. Today we don't use that word, we only say IT. It's a given. Right? In those days, information technology enabled services, ITES, was something new. There was technology and there was BPO industry, and new technologies coming in, new products coming in, services coming in, and companies entering that market. So that was a jump on coming towards. I would take a hop and skip to where I joined this company called Wipro. Right? All of you know Wipro. Wipro. Morely people know. Most of the people, sorry, know about Wipro as a technology company, but they are also into oil. They are also into furniture. They are also into lighting. And I think today Mr. Azim Premji is not so much into the Wipro brand yet, but in those days that was the brand to go to. And a whole lot of stories we had heard before joining the organization. Right? When you join, then that whole transition from a smaller consulting outfit to a larger brand, which has a few thousands of employees or tens of thousands of employees spread across the country. And my role again, was back to based in Mumbai, handling the infrastructure division there, and it was a part consulting, part technology role for that, right? So I understood consulting because I came from consulting services. I understood interacting with client with a sales and marketing background. But the third element here was I was looking at meeting clients from infrastructure and real estate side of it. So see the transition now, right? From an automotive sector marketing firm to consulting services to large B2B corporates to now I'm trying going to interact with companies who are into real estate, mostly out of Mumbai, and trying to convince them, okay, it's time for you to take the technology leap, right? It's time for you to transform your organization from running like an old school company to professionalize it, get technology and make it more scalable, make it more reliable, and that was my role. And Wipro would sell in those days laptops, desktops, uh, you know, IT hardware, IT software, including ERP implementation, networking, end-to-end managed services, everything. So they would actually take your whole IT department on their roles and do a full technology outsourcing for them. And that used to be the role that we were trying to encompass to sell everything in technology where the customer things like including giving them guidance on something called as a what's your business strategy on IT strategy. That was the buzzword that time, right? So we used to work and build a lot of clients. And if you Google up right now in terms of IT outsourcing kind of deals done by Wipro, I think in India there are about three or four large deals, and one of them was the time when I was handling that customer in Bombay here. So I massive learning experience because when I joined Wipro is where I actually understood what all happens in IT. Right, I never came from an IT background. I'm an engineer, but what happens in the IT corporate world? I know if you're talking about after 5, 6 years of work experience, the learning was what's happening in IT. Because in those days, IT used to be अच्छा server खरीदना है, अच्छा networking switch खरीदना है, Microsoft license चाहिए, Oracle license चाहिए, SAP license चाहिए, SAP implementation करना है, Oracle implementation करना है, PC, desktop, IT consulting and bill of material and deliveries and everything. All that side was new to world for me. I only knew how to interact with the customer. I knew how to do consultative selling to make a discussion and find the problem area, pitch a solution, and work with the customer. That was my strength area. That's the first half of it. The second half of what goes inside in a technology company was a complete learning experience for me. Right? And that's where I got probably much more deep into okay, IT means ABCD thing. So IT company has consulting, IT company has infrastructure, IT company has software, IT company has hardware, a whole lot of divisions within the organization. And let me tell you, it's not just selling or marketing people who are required to execute all of this, right? You need a finance guy. The whole business unit runs on numbers. And frankly, there are probably at least 20-30% of guys have to be from finance background, not just marketing and sales background within that sales business unit also. You need somebody to do the number crunching, somebody to say, okay, what's the profitability, somebody to help you get approvals from the business unit, somebody to get advice, and get that numbers in place so that leadership can take decisions on business to be executed, not to be executed, special approvals. So there is that massive role of finance of number crunching out there. The third role, which is out there, is say of business operations, right? So is the product delivery happening? The projects are on time, services are being delivered, how is it being managed? Is it the project management in place? The right amount of business operations are in place, the reporting is happening. All that is an operations and operations finance combination. Now the fourth element, which is the HR side of it, right? But the larger the group, the company, right, the more involved and the HR roles become extremely, but probably more heavy lifting for the HR folks, right? The HR will have a lot to manage, and it's from, if you look at the whole cycle from hire to retire, if you want to call it that way, from the scouting candidates to visiting colleges, meeting the right profile, shortlisting, giving it for round 2, round 3, to onboarding them, making the new joinee comfortable, making the new joinee, giving them, lending them a ear, networking with them, working with the business units, or business units here could be departments, right? Marketing department, sales department, HR department, finance department, operations department, factory is a department, everything, or locations could be department. Working with the departments, in ensuring that there is rewards, recognition, appraisal, handoffs, and in many cases we have seen even downsizing or rehiring. HR has a massive role to play, and business and HR, business and finance have to go together with each other. So it's important to know your stuff, of know your function or what you are expected to do, also to understand what the other person is going through, to understand what the other person is is having in his agenda, right? Now, key result indicators, key performance indicators, or your goals that you get when you join organization. Everybody has a particular goal or an objective of joining an organization, right? For HR, the goal could be retention or hiring within 90 days, from rec opening to rec closing, or attrition less than 10% or 5% could be your HR goal. A finance goal would be to enable profitability. Finance goal could be business finance and reporting on time, right? A sales goal could be top line and in terms of how many products or services or solutions sale or PO value with profitability built in. A marketing goal could be branding, could be enabling sales. So everybody will have some kind of a goal to actually say they contribute to a larger organization in terms of to for that organization to move forward, right? While in the next first few years you will actually get exposure to all these types of goals and roles. You will have touched many departments, you would have worked with many departments. It's important to get a perspective of knowing what's happening there. And to be really fair, you can definitely switch departments after you've got a hang of things. It's not that you start your career in something and you will do that all your life or in the same organization, same location, etc. I don't think it's going to happen that way. There was a time where people would start in a department and spend all 30 years of their career in the same department. Today, I don't see that happening. I see people taking that chance, even organizations giving you that opportunity. See, if you want to do something, if you're capable, you will, and you want to do. Sorry, it's both. Okay, it's not capability alone or your desire alone. If you have both on your agenda, and the third angle is the organization is wired in a way to push you to do things new, right? Many organizations have this policy of rotation, of saying that you need to try new things, you need to move from role to role, right? So, so you will be able to switch over roles and try. So it's not like अभी ये role मिल गया मैं फंस गया या मैं फंस गई will I have to continue like this? Don't worry. Right? If you look at even my LinkedIn profile, I have moved roles, I have moved organizations, locations, and many people in the industry whom you meet have gone through it. So it's not a fad, it is your experience. And every switch has a logic or a reason to it, at least which I have. And if I can explain it to somebody, it's I'm making the right move, right? So so Wipro kind of gave me this whole exposure of a large organization, a large technology consulting services company, where I would interface with all the type of department, understood technology really. So then what happens is, I think we all know what happened when the Lehman Brothers crashed, right? About 2008, I think, 8, 9, that 7, 8 period, where real estate industry went up and it had a sharp fall. Business is slowing down, money getting pulled off, everything, right? So, and I was handling that business unit for that, right? After the Lehman Brothers crash, almost 1 or 2 months, the business had slowed down for us, right? We think अभी बिल्डर विल से ओके सर मेरा फ्लैट नहीं बिकने वाला है या प्रोजेक्ट अटक गए आप आईटी की क्या बात करते हैं दैट इज हाउ clients will talk to you once you build that relationship and have a connect and they're being transparent. Okay, अब ये प्रोजेक्ट हो रहा है ये प्रोजेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है इसमें आप क्या कर सकते हो दैट इज हाउ द डिस्कशन हैपेंड. And I will mix English and Hindi because you realize if you're working in India, you will mix languages. You are not going to be only talking pure jargonized MBA English, but outside world is the real world, right? So So that was the change. So with that in mind, I had to look for a role change because I either moved from real estate focus to something else, or I said, okay, like many people, अच्छा अभी ये हो गया, अब कुछ नया सीखते हैं. That's where I moved from Wipro to IBM, and then from IBM to Cisco, and that was the next transition for me. So I worked with Indian companies for till about 7, 8 years in the career, then moved to multinational company, right? And IBM now has broken up into parts and shrunk, but those days IBM was probably the largest technology company that one would want to aspire to work with. And that was the era when Microsoft had not become so big, or Google was not somewhere. And the new age digital companies were really not there. So IBM was probably like from moving from a lake to an ocean, from a Wipro to an IBM. In those days, used to be like that, right? From the size, scale, method, process, everything was way different. There is a whole different work culture in a multinational, and a different work culture in an Indian organization, right? If you are more of a risk taker, and there are blurring lines between processes and people, that's more of a local Indian work culture in terms of larger companies. Multinational would be far more siloed as an approach, and your role and niche was defined. Somebody else's role and niche was always defined, and the processes of approval would be different in both the organization, right? So that transition was again a lot of unlearning and learning if you look at it. And then the movement was not just pure everything in services. Can I be focused on product sales? Or can I do IT product services, product sales? And here again, the role of the other departments were very different. The HR department in a technology company, a large multinational, will play a very different role compared to what role they play in an Indian organization, right? There are different power centers, there are different responsibilities given. There are a lot of different kind of operational ways of working in both the organization. It's completely a different work culture. So at that time, IBM logo used to be blue color, so people would say you're blue blooded, or Wipro used to be rainbow flower, right? So if you, as much time you spend with the organization, you get more comfortable with the culture, and that becomes part of you. Whether it is a fast paced culture, whether it is slow paced, whether it is hierarchical, whether it is uh, no boundaries, or whether it is straight reach out to the CEO. Depends on the work culture that you're in. Typically, you will be comfortable with that culture, and that's what they say: blue-blooded or red-blooded or whatever. You become part of the organization, color and culture. So, what was the big unlearning learning was when we are focusing on a global networking company like a Cisco, and they are in the India market, and a lot of marketing and sales happen, and they have development center in Bangalore. They're developing a lot of software, hardware for whatever global thing, etc. You realize two parts, right? I think there are and Indian companies are, or multinationals are relying on talent in India to actually develop these products which are being used globally. Wipro was a services company, but Cisco was a product company. So a lot of IP phones that you use, or you must have seen those phones with screens, with video conferencing and facilities, or WebEx kind of solution, or what you understand with that. A lot of that software actually was built in the country, and that gives you a different type of thing. Okay, wow, I think we are no more the back office of the world, but we are the engineers of the world. We are actually developing things for what is being used globally. And that was the phase when a lot of large OEMs set up development centers in India. So the software, the hardware, the support, all the designing build was happening out of India. And that organization actually is, I think, high respect in terms of the speed and the agility of the organization for the size and scale of it. The whole decision making, the whole customer centric approach gives you a lot of understanding. And what is important is for businesses, number one, customer. After that, everything else, right? So that client centric approach, it taught a lot of things. And my interaction moved from real estate industry to oil and gas and manufacturing and chemical side of it, right? So I had met the manufacturing clients in my consulting days, right? We used to work with a lot of large factories and mid-sized companies and help them do operations transformation, lean, Six Sigma transformation. So I had interacted a fair amount of time with them. So for me, getting into that role, after 5 6 years, okay, it's nice. I can connect with the manufacturing team because I worked in consulting company there. I understand technology because I've been in Wipro and I. So that blend got me okay. I'm now looking after business for the chemical, petroleum, oil and gas kind of sectors. Uh, there is where I think I learned the next level of understanding. Now, in technology industry, it's called OEM, right? Original Equipment Manufacturer. Uh, Cisco has the hardware, the box, IBM has the hardware, HP has the hardware, Dell has the hardware or the software, and they are OEMs of the product. So they own the product. Product is implemented, sold, serviced by systems integrator companies, which are called SI companies. And now that is where a Wipro, an IBM, a Cognizant, multiple companies come into that bracket. So you are seeing the value chain. There's a customer, there is a system integrator, there is the OEM, right? The one who makes the product. Now moving from this to this to this, give me an understanding of the full value chain if you look at it, right? And here in the OEM side of it, when I was taken in oil and gas, I said, okay, I got an opportunity to say, okay, can I do oil and gas for all across the country? And obviously, all these roles will require travel, but it's not too much of travel because you're not into delivery of project. And I'll explain you that side also, in a few minutes, right? So that gave me an exposure to. I moved from Mumbai to Delhi, and most of you who have traveled in India or have been part of it, right? North, east, north plus east, and west plus south. The work cultures in the country is extremely different. And I would definitely suggest for all of you who have been only in one part of the world, you must take an experience of the other side. At least a north south or a west north. It is a must have in the career. I think you will learn, unlearn so much. I know you'll end up there and you will bang your head against the wall. What a change. Why did I do this? But when you look back, oh, what a learning, right? So हिंदी में वो कहावत है ना घाट घाट का पानी पीना, right? Uh, Live in a different location and environment that you're comfortable with and you will really learn a lot. Obviously when you are into it you will really feel, oh, this is too much of a change. Work culture, I can't manage this culture, I can't manage this kind of people, I can't manage staying away, I can't manage eating this food, that food. But be more flexible in your mind. I think it's all a mindset point of view, whether it is whatever time of your career or your personal life, if you're able to get that some in a few months or a few years in a different location to unlearn and learn, I think it's recommended to go ahead, try it. If you are lucky to get an opportunity or you're forced on an opportunity, and I've been through both situations there. But at the end of it, when you look back, okay, I think a lot of learning happened in those times when we were not in your hometown or not in the comfort of your own place or a different work culture or different location. It's worth the experience. You don't know what you get out of it, right? It's worth the experience. So for me, moving from Mumbai to Delhi, I had a big change, and this was 2012 to 14. Yeah, so that was a different thing. In Gurgaon, there were no auto rickshaws were new in Gurgaon. That was the age that what I'm talking about, right? Today, Ola, Ubers is a norm. Having your own vehicle is a norm, or a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, etc. It's a different story. In those days, it was just about starting from it, or today it's a millennium city, the city that probably started in 2000 upward. It's a different setup. So it's worth the experience, assuming the opportunity is good and the organization is going to take care of your movement and your setup and make you comfortable with the role. They have a large setup, etc., etc. It's worth the experience. So I took that short, massive unlearning, learning experience in terms of the location, the setup, meeting the kind of clients in that region is very different. Working with different government bodies, different people out there, private and professional, right? The talking style, the working style, the understanding. If you're on the services side of it, you need to be understanding what the person is really looking at. Is it worth it? Is it really talking the truth, the farce? Whatever. You learn a lot of things, right? And it is true for not just sales or marketing or HR or finance or operation. I think all of it. It's a big change for everybody, right? So see where in your career you can manage to see some more locations, regions. Do do experience. It's painful, Trust me, it is painful when you go through it, but you will learn. You will learn a lot, right? Uh, so with that in place, after spending a reasonably about what maybe 7 8 years back in the consulting industry, in the technology industry, I wanted to go back to consulting hat. So I done IT, so understood the technology industry. I came from consulting, I came from business, which was Mahindra. Kind of mixed everything up. So when I wanted to go back to consulting, taking a hop at BMG again, I came back to KPMG, came to KPMG. And interesting thing happened within that till I hit 2015 KPMG. I spent some time to give you some experiences which worked or did not work, right? Both have to be on the table. So I got into advisory roles with startup. So one of the startup was into mobile app management. Another startup which was run within the family, which we started off a new business on e-commerce, right? So e-commerce was probably what my weekend job was. So wife set up a business and I was supporting her and trying to unlearn and learn what happens in setting up a business, finding people, hiring them, giving them salary, making new contracts, finding new products, finding new services, making an e-commerce site, selling it, etc., etc. So that was another good amount of learning, and which is where I say, respect entrepreneurship. If you have an idea, you have a thought, please go try it first. It's worth it. Especially now itself, you're in semester two, you might have time over your internship, or people burn weekend or midnight labs and do something, set up something. So that was one side of the experience of it. The second side of it was, you know, being a technology business professional. Uh, my experience and learning on how you can scale up a business, how you can go sell to the market, how you can take your product or service to a larger reach is what that startup was looking for from an advisory perspective. And after spending about 15 years in the industry, you're going back to startup is always questionable whether I can fit in the culture, whether there is a requirement like that, where the startup can understand you, can gel with it. So it was an advisory engagement. And in the end of 6 months, and we both said, okay, no, I think I like the professional setup of a large company. And they got what they were looking for an input and scale. They said, okay, fine, I'm not here for the long term, a short term thing, great. Now let's go back to a larger organization. So in career, you will make those attempts, right? Now, some transitions are great, some are not the best thing. And I think what I in many of my transitions, right, I should have probably consulted people from the industry before making that switch. And I would share with you that I think it's good to consult people who have gone through more experience of work than you would have. Many times I probably missed out on something like this because we didn't have mentors in those days. Somebody will ask me, why did I do with engineering? Or somebody in the family was doing engineering. We had relatives who did engineering, and they said, okay, this is the right thing to do. Or why did you do MBA? Okay, because somebody said, okay, after engineering, you should do MBA. Post graduation करना है, अच्छा होगा, नौकरी अच्छी मिलेगी, काम अच्छा मिलेगा. And फिर अच्छा महिंद्रा में क्यों गए? So we had limited in those days exposure. We didn't have social media or a network to reach out to people and ask some questions. Okay, is this the right move? Is this the right location? So many cases in our time we have jumped into the ocean, learned to swim. We jumped into a pond and learned to swim, and jumped into a lake, and whatever. So it was more on the job kind of figuring it out what's happening and things. Uh, I think over the last 5 7 years, things are very different. You typically are able to reach out to people before you take a plunge, right? So when I moved into KPMG, I knew what KPMG is all about, what's the kind of work culture. Still, 50 60% of those questions were answered before I actually jumped into it. I was aware of what's going to happen. What am I jumping into? What are the changes that will happen, right? Earlier, it was still very difficult to find a contact in that company or in the relevant industry to give you that guidance. So that's the point, right? And you take a cue from it. And it's good to reach out and ask people from the industry or somebody who has gone in it. And the second part is today people are willing to talk and help you out. Initially, one, you didn't know anybody. कोई मिल गया तो भी उसको टाइम नहीं है खुद देने को, right? फोन ही नहीं था किसी को reach out करने को. You had to find how to reach out to person. So with that in mind, I moved to KPMG, and KPMG was that time setting up the IoT practice. Today, I think that was 2015. So 5, 7 years down the line, IoT is a norm. We all know what is IoT. And when I was in 2015 in KPMG, we were setting up the IoT practice. Every meeting with the outside world or inside KPMG, we would start with the definition of IoT on the board, Internet of Things. Try to explain to people what IoT is, how will it disrupt your life, how will it change your life, And those days, smartwatches was just coming in, and that was probably an example. Uberization was the word. Today we are using it less, but that was the time where technology had started disrupting businesses, and that is where the whole concept of digital is coming, right? It's not IT, it's not process, it is digital. So what you're saying, what is digital eventually? Can I use technology to improve business? Can I use technology to make operations easy? Can I use technology to sell more? Can I use technology to do marketing better? Can I use technology to make my approvals faster? So that's the whole digital piece that kind of kicked in from, I think, over the less than last 10 years, is where 8 years is the digital story. So for me, coming from a business background, from a IT background, from sales marketing and consulting background, digital became a blend where somebody who's a digital consulting or a digital professional needs to understand all of these, needs to be abreast and aware of what technology can do, how to give it a roadmap of technology implementation, how will it succeed, also be able to understand what are the business nuances and be able to converse with the customer. So putting these pieces together, digital uh, was a logical move, and I think it was the right move to move into technology, digital consulting or IoT industry 4.0, pushing myself to a new boundary from trying to get, to understanding what an IT or a software or hardware would be to do it today, looking at digital consulting and say, okay, can I enable businesses run faster? Can I enable businesses be more agile, more resilient? Can I help more uptime to the business? Can I make them more reliable? And business here, it could be, for example, if your business is a retail company like an Amazon or a Flipkart, right? We all have those apps running on their phone. What is their business? Their business is that every time a customer opens that app, finds the product, finds it relevant, he purchases it and he gets the stuff, he has a return, he has a complaint, everything should move smoothly and digitally. The customer should not have a pain executing or dealing with that company, which means in the app, everything should work. The click should not get into a blue screen error or a not found error, or an image should not be incorrect, or the price should not be incorrect, or the delivery should not be incorrect. The payment should happen smoothly. So that's the business. That business has every element to it. There is an IT, finance, marketing, operations, HR, every element to it. And to enable that is what technology has to do. So do I need to do latest cloud? Do I need to do proper, the UI, UX, which is the user interface, user experience? Do I need to do small icons, big icons? Do I need to put branding, hoarding? Do I need to go sponsor IPL? What is it I need to do that the business runs smoothly? Because finally, business will run, revenue will be earned, profits will be earned, and it will be distributed, and we grow the company, right? So that's where the transition to digital happened. And from KPMG came Hitachi Consulting, which got rebranded to Ventara, which is where I'm now part of the company. And it's into digital consulting. So we are, working with uh, finance, working financial services, working with automotive, working with retail, working with banks, so to help them transform the company using digital tools. So I always say use digital to transform a company. Don't say I'm doing digital only, right? Because you do digital transformation only if it benefits your organization. So those are things that was probably my career transition from different type of companies, roles, taking hops, making mistakes, coming back, recovering, stabilizing, understanding work culture. And I think many companies had a different work culture that I worked with. Hitachi has a Japanese legacy. We had US headquarters, Cisco is US headquarters, Wipro is India headquarters, BMGI was an India entity working with the US headquarters. Uh, every company has a different work culture, and you like some, you don't like some, you adjust to some, and you kind of manage with some, right? So that's been the whole transition, I think, for multiple careers and companies. So few things that I want to emphasize: you can change roles, you can change industry, you can change brands, you can change locations. So far in your mind, you are ready to adopt and learn and grab more, you will get more. Okay, it's all about what you want to get in terms of your growth aspiration. Adding a few more things, and I think probably this is double click to a business development background that I mostly had come from. Uh, in the new role that I'm working, or probably for more than a year now. So in an organization, I talked about operations and finance roles of people in the strategy side who are thinking aloud, who are putting their experience in place and setting up business processes, setting up reporting, governance infrastructure for the sales and operations and HR, everybody to execute, right? So when you start thinking ahead of time, you start putting up a plan, you're starting to put, okay, when I'm running this business unit, this division, what is the measurement I need to do? Do I need to measure leads? Do I need to measure expenses? Do I need to measure profitability? Do I need to see location? Do I need to say regional cost? What do I need to do to ensure that this business runs efficiently? The whole strategy and operations is all around number crunching and figuring it out how to make it more efficient and operationally efficient, right? Now, with the background which I had on frontline facing, client facing, internal facing, etc. Right. So, but my current role has evolved to say, okay, not just purely meeting clients and telling them buy it, buy that, or I work this, but can I use that past knowledge and experience and say, okay, this is how we should expand. This is how we should grow our business. This is how we can do more things, and that is a lot to do with a lot of strategy and operations setup. So another slight amount of role transition, if you see, where in my clear typical business development role, 80% of my time would be meeting clients, traveling, and heavily taking a flight every week. I think pre-COVID that used to be the norm. Every week, 2 or 3 flights. So you are at a destination at a client or an internal, and you're trying to explain a proposition, you're trying to solve a problem, you're trying to submit a bid, you're trying to whole lot of things that you do in business development, sales, and marketing, right? Or in operations efficiency, going to locations to see how the factory is dispatching or material is moving, supply chain is happening, not happening, logistics issues, or in finance, you're doing business finance, or you're doing operational finance, or you're saying, the company financials, or you're doing, uh, uh, the corporate finance. So, whole lot of functions that you will work with. Now, things changed, right? In the last 2 years, if I may want to say it, right? We've all adopted to everything happening under one screen. For a lot of time, we have missed the positive interaction with people. Today, we are getting slightly comfortable. Okay, at least if there is video, there is a live interaction. But I think the human touch has vanished, and I'm hoping it comes back in the next few months, right? So a lot of life change for a lot of people. People who worked with more frontline retail and everything, a lot of life changed for them. A lot of things were just shut down. Hospitality, retail, a lot of it got shut down. But on the hindsight, a lot of hospitality and online retail became a boom industry. Right? The switch from working from uh, lockdown to work from anywhere, right? That shift happened. A lot of people managed to take benefits, but a lot of people had a lot of losses to bear on. Many people had to really dig into their savings, think about a whole lot of roles that vanished, airlines shut down, transport was off, right? What is also important is as you move to your journey on business or corporate, right? Understand this concepts of early investing or saving and everything, and your own life and health. And I'm coming to a point that it's not there is career, there is growth, there is future, and everything, but ensure you're cognizant about other parts of life, right? Don't get lost into one thing that you're completely lost track of something else, right? Uh, and we all know many people who got impacted were uh, a lot to do with, like they say, something related to health beyond the COVID or the corona that happened, right? It's important to eat healthy, live a bit healthier life. I'm not saying you live a full balanced life of every day so much and so much and everything, but be aware of the fact that you need to live healthy and happy as well. Besides working on the career and the stress that you will take. Right? To add to it, I think the point that we covered off in terms of corporate pressures, and I probably stop in the next 5, 7, 10 minutes. Corporate pressure, yes, there is work pressure and it is normal. Some roles have less work pressure, some have more work pressure, but work pressure is always cyclical. Remember that. It's here for some time, it will go off for some time. It will again come back, it will go off for some time. It is very cyclical, depends on the nature of business. In very rare cases, the work pressure is always work pressure. I don't think it's very common, right? True to heart, you might feel okay, there is always work pressure, but remember within that work pressure, even if you are into project delivery, if you are into operations finance, there are days when there will be a lot of work pressure, which means that you are working from an hours perspective, not the typical 7 to 8 hours. You might be putting 10 hours, 12 hours, but there will be days where you will have 5 hours, 6 hours of productive work that you need to do. You can take your operational break that time. You can balance out. Today, companies are not stuck onto a badge in time and a badge out time, a start time on the laptop and an end time on that. I think as you progress to your career, you'll see more of a balancing that you yourself can command and do. And frankly, I don't think your so-called esteemed boss will be able to tell you, "अच्छा तुम इतने दिन time से इतना करोगे, इतने time से इतना करोगे." That is only till you understand your stuff. Initially, you might get into a little more of micromanagement. People are saying, "Acha, morning you do this, afternoon you do this, evening you do this." But as you progress, uh, you will be able to write your own time and rule, and you will be able to understand why doing something at this time, why doing something at that time makes more sense, and it works properly, right? Uh, yeah, but be cognizant of the fact that what you are doing and what are your other priorities of life. It should not be that you're completely gone into work focus 120% or 200% and you've completely lost track of everything, right? Lost track of family, lost track of friends, or just completely gone into junk food eating and binging and not taking care of your own health. I think that's a bad situation to get into. And understand, all of you must have seen, especially last 2 years, I think has been a lot of unlearning and learning for all of us, right? In terms of we've understood the value of life and living it happily, and be cognizant of what's happening around in this thing, right? So, so I'm hoping this gives you some perspective of what careers look like, what's it to work in a technology company, what's in a consulting company, automotive, the role, the location, etc. Right? Uh, we can give it a couple of minutes, and then I would actually want some of you to put out some questions for the time that we have got. Right? That will be good. So over to you,
Yes,
Diksha
yes.
or Neeraj. Yeah, go ahead.
So, sir, before asking, means taking questions from students, I have one question, sir. Because as you are working as a director, you are so busy. Even means when I try to connect you, that time I thought that Saturdays you are off because Saturday, Sunday, as it is a IT company indirectly. But you told me that you have some work on Saturday also, and you are ready to take this session in the morning, means early morning, so that it should be covered and your work should not hamper. So I just want to know, sir, with this busy routine, you spare this time. So what is the motivation behind that? Means you are working even on Saturdays. Means if someone is having at this position with 20 plus years of experience, he might have thought that I will take a rest on Saturday, or no, I will not do anything. Saturday, Sunday should be for myself. But what is that motivation which bring you on this platform today to share your views with our students, sir? Sir, please, over to you.
Okay, okay. So there are two parts to this question. Okay, uh, Saturdays, Saturdays is, I would say, not zero work, but I think the work time definitely comes down. We try and prioritize and pack everything in Monday to Friday so that work is kind of closed at a late Friday evening or something. I have a lot of meetings in the US also, so I wind up by 10:30, 11 in the night. Uh, so Saturday I try and keep okay. Can I be off work? and it's more personal engagements. So, like family, very important, right? Right now on Saturday, Sunday, at least you want to do something for yourself. Either you're playing a sport, or you have an outing with family, or just spending time with family. So I've got parents, wife, and two children, right? Everybody wants some time slot. Saturday, Sunday is more towards that. The second part of it, I think at least in the last 3 or 4 years, I have interacted with a lot of students and colleges, and they approach me for sessions. I've gone to physical sessions, online sessions. I think it's fair that we share our experiences, and the student community can pick up from that. And they also know, okay, maybe I can reach out to him or her to ask a question once in a while. कि सर अभी I am in this company, मुझे ऐसा discussion है, ये है. Can you give me 5-10 minutes and give me a direction what will make sense, right? It's only fair on our part to come back and say, okay, here it is. This is what we have experienced. And if you have something on a question, feel free to ping or reach out, right? And happy to respond back. It will take a day or two to respond back to you, but you will get your response. At least you have to take a decision, somebody, okay, I got this decision. So I think that third part is that, okay, I'm good with it. I like to interact and I'm comfortable taking these questions and taking that extra time. Because like you ideally said, for a Saturday morning, it should be late getting up. I work till 10:30, 11 in the night, and then it takes time to sleep. And Saturday want to be late, etc. And so it's perfectly fine. But the point is that one is like we were talking, when do we meet? So you said this slot is full. I said, okay, can you do early morning? Because I think I can take this time out, spend dedicatedly, share my inputs, take question answer, and then by whatever after that time I'm ready. By the time the family is up and running and set up, I'm ready for Saturday full day for many other things. So don't want to demean it off. Right? It's important. This interaction for me also, I might learn something new. I don't know. Some of you might come up with some idea and ask me some question. I might learn something new. Right? It's absolutely fair. So Neeraj,
So,
that was the motivation.
so you are always ready for learning. So it's really a learning for all of us that you should be ready for learning or at all the time. Yes. Now,
Yeah,
dear
yeah,
students,
absolutely.
yes,
Yeah. Somebody said it is student for life, right? So it's a learning, right? That's how it is.
yes. So
Good morning,
anyone,
sir.
yes,
This is Nidhi Jaswal, and I'm from
Yeah,
Kolkata.
Nidhi. Hi,
Okay.
Nidhi.
Hello, sir. Sir, what I have pre-decided is to go for any FMCG sector with area sales manager or something like that. So, how would you define the roadmap for this journey from your perspective, sir? From your experiences that you have been through?
Sure. Great. So I think it's good that you have clarity. You want to be in FMCG and with sales, right? So that's the view that you're taking on, right? Uh, um, so I'll give you some assumptions for this role. What will work for you, right? One is I think you should be comfortable with traveling around. You should be comfortable with picking your bag and taking a walk or taking a bus or a car or a bike or just going and meeting people. And that is your first skill that is required. Besides being able to, depend on the region, be able to be comfortable with going to that retailer or distributor, sitting with him and having a cup of tea or a coffee which he offers on the ground. And it's very important to be able to build that connect with whom you want to do business, right? So for you, whether you are whatever company or brand you may be working with, it HUL, PNG, a Sibaka or a Minaka or a Colgate, right? Or whatever brand of shampoo, toothpaste, oil, whatever you may be represented, right? It has to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable with being able to go and converse with that customer. I think typically an area sales manager will have a pressure of getting numbers to get more products delivered, right? First 2-3 months, people will allow you that bandwidth to understand and learn and unlearn. Then people will expect, अच्छा ठीक है, 50 लाख हर महीने चाहिए मुझे इस रीजन से या 1 करोड़ चाहिए या 1.5 करोड़ चाहिए, right? Because by the time you would have met maybe 10 distributors, maybe 20 retailers, and you will have them on your phone number easily, and they would know whom to reach out to from your company. You need to think, how can I improve my customer's business so that I sell more to him? Now, when you meet a distributor, think of how he can distribute more of your products to the retailer and how he can increase his business, because that means you will get more business. Full stop. It's very easy. Because your customer should be able to sell more, so you get more business. That's the kind of channel in this. Third is, I think, build trust. So when you are meeting with a retailer or distributor, you have to, you will be new in the organization, and he must be doing business with your company maybe for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. We don't know, right? So in a pharma business, pharma distributor, my grandparent had this business, my father had, and I'm also doing the same business. तुम तो नए नए आए हो, मैं तो एमडी से बात करता हूँ. It's very common, very common. The dealer distributor will tell you this language very easily, right? It's okay. That is how he is, because that is how he actually is, right? But now in your current role, you are the person facilitating his interaction with the brand. So eventually you will have to get into his life to know his business, his background, his comforts, his discomfort, maybe solve a few problems for him which he may be facing, and then you become, अच्छा देखो, निधि के आने के बाद हमारे को ये प्रॉब्लम कम हो गई, अब माल थोड़ा एक दिन जल्दी आता है, या आपको क्रेडिट अप्रूवल में टाइम कम लगता है, या हमारी माल की क्वालिटी चेंज हो गई है. हाँ, सो इससे कुछ आके कुछ कुछ हमारे लिए अच्छा कर दिया, राइट? And it's important to be in a distribution led business more so from sales. It's important to be able to create a local connect, and I would not shy away from saying, so for example, if you're in a different part of the country, try and learn a few words of that local language. A few words. You don't need to learn everything, but if you learn a few words of the local language, you will make a difference in their life. You will become more approachable. People will want to connect with you. कहते ये कोई बाहर से आया है, अभी फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट, सिंस यू आर फ्रॉम कैलकाटा, अभी कोई कलकत्ता से आया है बॉम्बे में करने को, तो उसने मराठी के 3 वर्ड तो सीख लिए, उसने इतना एफर्ट डाला है उसने, right? Think
Yes.
of it that way, right? So it creates a respect for the person. So अच्छा ठीक है, तो let's talk to him. वो बंदा एफर्ट डाल रहा है यार तुम्हारे लिए कुछ करने को. So highlight that and try to build a connect. Um, and while you're now seeing it, okay, there is area sales, you could do region and you could do national. That could be what career path you could be thinking. I think it's a great thought process. The fact that you are aware of what you're trying to get into, it should be great for you.
Thank
And
you so
FMCG today means paints also, pharma also, and core, foods and industry of soap, shampoos, whatever, stationery. A lot of it, right? So great. Wish you all the best, Nidhi. Good that you have thought about this, but yeah, great, good going. So if you have
Thank you.
any such questions, feel free to root it or share it. I'll happy to
Sure,
share
sir.
my perspective.
Sure, sir.
Yes. Anyone have any other question? Yes, Diksha.
Morning, sir. I'm Diksha Gaikwad.
Yeah, this.
So, as we all are talking and discussing many a part about marketing, business, marketing, startups, and finance, HR, only the base which we have been there for from the core. But there are many new fields which are emerging. Like, so YouTube has been a new emerging platform for youngsters, for us. So means like people used to go for YouTube careers. They used to show their life. They used to do cookery, have cookery channels. There are many brand channels also. So what is your perspective about this new emerging sector of a business? Not basically a business, मतलब a means
A
a
career.
job career. Yes, a job career. What do you think that an individual should go for this for a longer period of time? Like YouTube is a platform where person is not sustain or give a job to anyone. There are editor, there are back cameramans, but not for the longer period of time. That might be for 5 years or 6 years. But after that, there might be something which should be there now, because popularity used to be happen for only for certain period of time, sir. There have been time when person used to fall from the base. So what is your thought about it? Means like what do you think about it?
Okay, so Diksha, you partly answered your own question, and you the second part of it, right? Okay, so when you do, I would take YouTube to digital marketing. Let's take it on a little higher plane there, right? Whether it is Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Now there are a lot of careers in it as well, and there are a lot of individuals who are using it that are a platform as a secondary thought. And the third is people who are trying to depend on it 100%. Let's take it into three parts. First is the career side of it. So if you are into helping a brand create a presence on YouTube. So you're a digital marketing professional, you're helping get videos in, edit it, give ideas, creative ideas. I think that's a full-time career. So that's digital marketing, joining a media agency or a marketing brand side of any corporate. That's a full-time career. Uh, Second is in terms of being able to say, okay, I am a social media influencer, which means I am good at writing content and information and putting posts which are influencing a particular brand because I'm employed by a brand to create social media influence. That is also related to the digital marketing. The third is saying, okay, I'm becoming a YouTuber or an Instagrammer and I have 1500, 1 lakh, whatever followers, and that is my bread and butter because, for example, a laptop company or a soap company comes to me, hey Nimish, you have 100,000 followers, please talk about our brand, right? Now the third category is more of a freelance and a professional. You are going more towards a brand, building your own brand so that you can sustain your life using that. To start with, many people along with their current work try out option 3. चलो ये करके देखते हैं, हेल्थ चैनल बनाते हैं, कुछ बेकिंग का करके देखते हैं या कुछ रिव्यूज करके देखते हैं, if it becomes popular. Now, like you said, there is a curve to it. There are many people who see this wave of popularity, and because of the reach and scale of this platform, it sometimes becomes difficult to sustain that curve, and then you suddenly have a dip in the followership, and which means dip in revenue. And according to me, these are virtual businesses, right? Or the social media influencer. There are many forums and cases where people are against taking so much of social media consumption. Many people are saying, can I use my own brain rather than depend on everybody else to influence my work? So attempt a balance, but I'm saying take a call whether you should move completely to option 3 or be in option 1, 2, or a real world. Because like you said, there is a full cycle, and sometimes the cycle can be really depressing, right? I'm not saying other jobs and businesses don't have cycles, but this is a different one because you're seeing popularity and you don't see popularity. That's a different thing. Having said that, there is a complete so-called media industry, which is TV and serial and OTT and films, right? They do work on a similar ground. They have their scale of popularity where they come in and they're able to do a lot of things. And maybe 10, 20 years back, it was completely disorganized. Today, it is a relatively a much better professionally run industry per se. So a social media influencer, yes, a lot of people have made it a full-time career. It's great. You have something to rest on, so this becomes your additional thing. Tomorrow, you may be able to make it a full-time thing also. So it's a possibility, but you need to look at option 1, 2, and 3 where you're fitting in. Can you do 3 and also do something of 2? Right? So you got the option 3, right? 3 options, right? Working in a marketing brand agency, or being a social media influencer, or third is doing something on a YouTube channel. See, balance it out. Don't just depend on one extreme of it. Is my thought process on that. That's my viewpoint. My personal viewpoint. Okay, don't hold me to anything on it.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Sure, Diksha. Any other thoughts, anyone? I know it's Saturday morning. A lot of you would have had a Friday night party, and we are still here. And that's why many people are off video के चलो on करके बैठ जाते हैं सर attendance लेने वाले कि attend किया कि नहीं किया, right? But nonetheless, if you have any questions, and like I said, every part in the journey going forward is all about what you want to take out of it, right? Opportunities will come. But yeah, Harshit, you raised your hand. Then we'll go to Rashi. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So as we all talk about changing from one work to another work, sir, how is it hectic? Like, now we are studying PGDM course, we are doing PGDM course. It's own hectic, but how it's more hectic when you are shifting from one specialization to another specialization.
Well, the simple answer is it is hectic because you're trying to learn something yourself new. If you're happy to continue doing what you are doing, then that change may not come much because you will continue to grow in your space, right? Now take for example what Nidhi had a question on FMCG sales, right? We want to go to FMCG sales, region, territory, location, national. You're still in a sales role. Now if Nidhi decides, okay, मुझे sales अब हो गया, मुझे branding में जाना है, मुझे marketing में जाना है, या मुझे operations में जाना है, supply chain में जाना है, right? So that will be a lot of unlearning and learning for her. But it's a decision that okay, I want to understand more, I want to learn more. So Harshit, to your point, yes, when you want to make a change, I think before you land up into the change and after jumping into that, you will need to take that extra effort to learn what's happening on the ground. And any new role, any new responsibility will require you to put that effort to say, okay, I need to know what's happening, then I can contribute better. So yes, it is hectic. Sometimes it may be worth it, or many times it is worth it.
Yes. So Harshit, I would like to repeat the previous sentence from Nimish sir. Sir told that it is okay to change the job for role, for industry, for brand, but you must be adaptable, right, sir?
Very true.
Yes. So if you're adaptable, so you can pass all the situations very smoothly. Yes,
Yeah.
Rashi, please. Maybe so.
Yes, sir. So, sir, you spoke about how for sales you had to go to a lot of rural areas or tier three towns. And I have heard a lot of B school grads say that, well, we didn't like the idea of going to a rural area, but we fell in love with it and we learned a lot about our about the segment that we're catering to. So, what was it like for you when you started out?
Yeah, I think I am on the side of a lot of learning that I did in that segment. Because initially first few days or weeks were like, "Oh, where have I come? मतलब मैंने ये क्या change कर लिया? क्यों किया मैंने ऐसा, right? You're suddenly taking an overnight bus, sitting bus, or an overnight sleeper bus, or a train, and going to a place, and then you have a smaller road journey to reach that place, and then you are in a place जहाँ पे मोबाइल भी नहीं चल रहे थे. उस टाइम पे मोबाइल was new enough, right? Uh, I think बहुत सीखने को मिलता है. So my sense was uh, today in the typical VC or the business world we call of India and we call of Bharat, right? People are trying to relate to what is the larger economy, which is the bigger market in India, and the larger strata of segment where we can do more business digitally. Back then, if you knew this, then you would understand what it means. Right? Sitting in a plush office talking about growth or a rural market doesn't make sense to me. Have you spent time on the ground to meet the real customer? If okay, if your target segment is giving loans to that farmer or giving loan to a mechanic or giving financial servicing or selling mutual funds or something or selling soaps and shampoos to a lifestyle of a person who has limited access, right? Do you know that person? Do you know that persona at all, right? Uh, I think if you have it in you, you should go and experience that, whether it is in your current role or a future role or somewhere, you will be able to get some of the opportunity. It's worth the learning. Some of, like you said, some of your B school grads say they loved the idea. There'll be many who will say we don't know why we ever did this. We could have been in a glass building and lived our life all happily. There will always be two types of people, right, who have different opinions. But personally, I think I had a great experience learning and unlearning that whole experience because I would not have broken the mold of a city life unless I would have done that. Right? Today, when I even today when I travel to places, and I love traveling and I love road trips, right? One of that thing comes from because I have spent time in a smaller town, working with people, living there for some time. So when I go back there on my personal trip, I think I enjoy the whole change. I enjoy nature that time, you know, being disconnected and being in a zero pollution environment or meeting and working with so simple people, their thought process. And and not that simple people are not doing businesses. Those people working out there in a smaller town are doing fantastically large businesses. And you'll be surprised to know there are so many towns in India where more luxury cars might be sold in some of them compared to the towns that or more luxuries are being available. And then you have brands coming in and selling there. People today buying online because there is presence and availability. So it's a lot of great learning, I would say, Rashi.
Yes. If anyone have any other question, we will take last question now. If anyone have any question, just ask it right now. We'll take hard. This is the last question then.
And you can, of course, reach out for more questions. Don't worry. Drop in a one-liner and I'll happy to respond back. Be it LinkedIn or you want to route it through Neeraj, please feel free. I think it's okay to come back with question, and it is okay that we should respond back to it because you will know what my experience has been. That will help you make your decision better. That's all we can do.
Yes, yes, sir. So I would like to thank you, sir, with this note because the way you have cleared HR, finance, and marketing, that in HR, massive retention is going on. So HR have a lot of work to do where they can improve the system in the organization. For finance profitability, they think about so that the organization will keep them for a longer duration. And for marketing, top client, branding, enabling sales, this will help the student if they will focus on these skills. Am I right, sir?
Absolutely.
Yes. So yes, one question I found here. 1 second. So who have raised his hand? Is the name? Anyone raise the hand? Okay, we'll continue. So, sir, uh, thank you very much for your time. Since with this busy schedule, you come up here and share thoughts, and especially since your transition from one industry to another industry, then next industry. As I'm also from the electronics background, I taught electromagnetic subject for 10 plus years. So I have, it was a great connect with you that being an engineer and into a marketing, and as you're from uh, the tier one city Mumbai and you work with the Satara Sangli, means at that time it's a learning and unlearning. So it is also a lesson for our students that they have to learn and unlearn at the same time because they will also come from the different states, different cities, and they come to Pune, and might be they work with the tier one cities in future, or they may go back to their towns. So learning and unlearning is a process of the journey, we can say. So Chirag, we will take last question from your side and then we will conclude. Yes, Chirag.
Good morning, sir. So my name
Hey,
is Chirag,
morning.
and I'm basically from Bhopal.
Yes.
If I'm wrong, sir, you also belong to Sindhi background.
Chirag, your voice is cracking. Come again.
Uh, Sir, am I audible now?
Better.
Sir, actually, it's my general question. Like, you have also set up one of your industry, like you have set up your own venture. So, like, I have this one general question. Like, I belong to Sindhi background. तो हम सिंधीज में सर एक टिपिकल बात होती है कि पढ़ाई वढ़ाई में कुछ नहीं रखा है, पापा का बिजनेस करना है, उसमें बहुत पैसा, लाइक माय फैमिली इज अ वेरी वेल सेटअप बिजनेस इन माय होम टाउन, बट might be you also face the same question when you was at my age. So how you cope up with it? Like सर हम लोगों में ऐसा बोला जाता है कि सिंधी लड़का है, ये तो कोई पढ़ाई वढ़ाई करेगा नहीं, इसको सिर्फ वो बिठाओ धंधे पे. तो आपने कैसे उस चीज से कॉप अप किया है सर, इस इंडस्ट्री में आपने इतना टाइम स्पेंड किया? एक सर मैंने लिटरली देखा है, मतलब मेरे को बहुत लोगों ने बोला कि कहाँ जा रहा है एमबीए करने, भले नॉलेज है बट अपने आपको दुकान पे लगा, यहाँ दुकान भी बहुत वो है सर, एक वो होती है टिपिकल सिंधी वाली बात, तो वो थी.
I completely understand your point, right? I come from a Gujarati family, and Gujarati, Marwadis, Sindhis, Punjabis relatively are more business family oriented. Relatively, okay. I'm not demeaning anybody here. Don't pin me down for it. I'm not into racism or everything. But Chirag, I will try and respond to your question. I think what happens is if you are from a business family, right? Typically, business family, uh, there's a lot of family pressure. बिजनेस संभालो, पापा ने या मम्मी ने बनाया है, आप नेक्स्ट जनरेशन उसको करो, बढ़ाओ, right? Which is not wrong, but the point is that if your way of working and your way of expansion can be different from what your earlier generation is doing, or if you have business X, you might want to take business X plus Y. You want to make business को X से 2X, या you want to make a digital transformation, और आप अगर domestic में हो आपको exports add करना है, Yeah, if you're doing product line ABC, you want to add DEF, you want to have, if you're selling to customer segment, 5 customer segment, can I do another 5 customer segment, right? So I think doing a management and or taking some work experience in a relevant field to your current business can be a massive value add to your own business. So you might or your family might feel, okay, no, you should ideally take over your family business. Oh, yes, I will. But point, let me learn of how to make this business to a different level. Can I learn it in my own business, or do I want to go outside and learn for 2 years, 3 years, and then come back? Or can I do something now to expand my business? Right? I don't know what business you are in, but considering that you are doing your management, can you start working to value add to your existing business to either grow it or make it more profitable? Because these are two things that everybody sees. The owner of the company sees that धंधा बढ़ गया है, धंधे में profit double हो गया, right? Quote unquote, A required होता है,
Yeah,
ठीक है?
thank you, sir. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what my plan is. Like, we are having a very good amount of capital and we have a very big business. But the main thing is that like my father knows how to do the marketing, but they are unaware about how to do the finance part because we have spent a lot of money in unnecessarily expenses. That's why I'm doing this PGDM course in finance sector only because if we want to expand this business, so we have a knowledge of all the sectors. That's why I'm specifically doing finance because of finance is the core thing. Because if we spend more, then sometimes there will be a point where we are at a point of a break-even point. Like there is no profit, no sale. There is no use of such business. That's what I'm trying to learn to increase the profit and give my more than 100%.
Great, great. So, Chirag, I'll just leave, since you told me what it is about, I'll add just a couple of points for you. I think one, uh, go ahead and spend some more time on business finance. Go ahead and spend some time in your accounts department in your company. It is very basic, but start from there. And also pick up some more deeper learning, and you know your short form itself is CA, Chirag Ahuja, right? It points towards a chartered accountancy or a business finance or a CFM kind of a thing, right? uh, Makes a lot of sense. And I think if you, it will be easier for you to learn the marketing of your business because that has been happening with your father or more people out there. But please go ahead and fine tune your skills, and if in your case it might be worth it to go deeper into finance and jump off directly, to, or maybe if you're thinking this business needs funding in the future, can I go work in a bank or a venture fund to start with? Or this business needs to know have ERP to manage finances better. Do you want to learn that? Either you can pick the area to learn, or you can say, okay, I want to learn finance and start applying it fast enough. Can I go into it and start applying it? So both streams are open for you, Chirag.
Thank you,
All
sir.
the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank you.
Now
Thank you
we
so
are
much.
running out of time, so I would like to stop here. But surely, sir, I would like to invite you for physical sessions in campus to interact with our students, because the way you have explained the things is your transition from company to company, then learning and unlearning, then from Mumbai city to working in a villages and doing the marketing over there, to learning the basic things of marketing, and then again coming back with the multinational companies. So really different background, different companies, and you excel in all the things. So really, sir, it will be helpful to our students to learn from you. And so I would like to invite you in future for the physical sessions once your time permits, sir. So now
Sure,
over to you.
definitely. Sure. I think thank you very much for the opportunity. And I don't think there is anything called as Excel. I'm just trying to do my part and grow in an individual's career and trying to do what we like to do. That is all it is. I wish all of you, all the best. I think you've you've set yourself to understand management and learn a lot of things. Take your decisions right. And my point would be reach out to people for guidance when you want to need it. And third, very important thing is don't just look for a job. Go try something. You have still a year down for campus placement. If you want to do something, start thinking around it. I think it's time to build up something also. Yes. Wish you all the best and take care. Yeah.
Yes, Diksha, over to you now.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful and insightful session. It was full of knowledge and liveliness. I'm sure students would have learned a lot from your shared experience and would have enjoyed the session to the core. Best wishes for your future ventures, sir, with the hope of meeting you again. Thank you so much, sir. With this, we'll conclude the session.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes,
Take care. All the
thank
best.
you.
Stay
You can
safe.
log on. Yes, students, stay on, stay login. We have some instruction. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, student.
Good
Am I
morning,
audible?
sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So our next session of Accenture from Sudhanshu sir. So Sudhanshu sir have some uh, health issue. He is having some fever. So he told me that he is interested in taking the session. So he may take at the end. This last session he may take, but our program is going on as it is. So in the coming session which we have planned, one second. So 9:30 to 10:45 will be postponed and may be taken at the end. Okay, so next session is at 11. Vidya Dev ma'am. Okay, got it.
Sure,
And
sir.
to do all, whatever the notes you have taken, just click one picture from your camera, and I have shared one link with you. Just upload that within 5 to 10 minutes, because we in that link we will get time also when you are uploading it. Okay, so whenever the
So, sir, we need to upload after every session or at the end of the all the sessions?
no, after every session within 5 to 10 minutes, just click a photo
Okay,
of
sir.
whatever you have taken and upload it. That's it.
Sir, you have said the Word document, right? First half, second half, that one.
To write a Word document and everything. Whatever the notes you have prepared, na, on paper, write your name, time, corporate in time, out time, and whatever the details I have mentioned over there, write on that page, click a photo and upload it. It will hardly take 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes. Not required to type and
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
but it
सर मैंने टाइम नहीं अपलोड किया मतलब लाइक मैं नोट्स मैंने अपलोड किया बट उसका
session
टाइम
when session start and when session end.
तो सेशन एंड एट 9:32 मैंने
हाँ
वो
जो
टाइम
the
वो
time is
लिखा
there,
तो मैंने पेज पे लिखा नहीं वो
लिखना है. Write by in your own handwriting. Who is a corporate? What is your name? Click
But
photo.
actual time was 9:15, so we can mention 9:15, na?
नहीं, ठीक है, जितने बजे स्टार्ट हुआ, whatever the actual time, mention that. It is not at all a problem.
सर दिक्कत ये था मैंने अपलोड कर दिया
हम्म.
मैं टाइम लिखना भूल गया सर उसमें
हाँ ठीक है ना, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
तो मैं नेक्स्ट
Okay.
सेशन में ध्यान रखूंगा उसको
हाँ. Anyone have any question about this?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you so
see
much.
Thank
you
you,
at
sir.
11 then. 11 का जो सेशन है उसके लिए log in
Yes,
10
sir.
minutes for that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.